Hey y'all, so time for your short Sunday sermon. I heard back from a lot of you that you found the first one I did helpful, so we're going to keep going. I will probably always be wearing these glasses because I do not put my contacts in on Sunday mornings. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about today. I'm thinking of using these Sunday sermons for things that I want to teach you guys that I think are kind of too small for a podcast. Like I can't do a whole podcast episode about them, but I think they're so important. So that's how I'm planning to kind of use these. But if you have things you'd like me to talk about, definitely drop them in the comments. I will keep track of that. Someday I may even get fancy enough to use my tripod, but today is not that day. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk to you about the idea of kind of unintentional versus intentional thoughts. So unintentional thoughts are the thoughts that just come up. They just arise from the muck, right? They're a product of like electrical impulses in your brain, obviously, always. But in terms of sort of what goes into the soup that they come out of, it's like your parents, how you were taught to think, what society taught you to think, how evolution has impacted your brain. Like I like to think of it as your brain is like an open source computer program and you didn't have any idea that everybody was back there typing all their own shit in. So your parents were typing in like their thoughts about the world and you and whatever else, and so was society, and so were magazines, and so were your friends, and so was evolution, so was the lizard, so was whatever religious authority you went to, if any, like every influence was back there, and you weren't exercising any control over it. So they typed all those thoughts in, and now your brain just spits some of them back out at you as if they're yours. So one of the objections that comes up when I teach my clients how to think new thoughts on purpose is that they have this idea that their unintentional thought is like somehow more real, right? That changing their thought on purpose is like fooling themselves. So I think that Freud is to blame for this, as many things. This idea that our unconscious thought is somehow like more authentic and more real and more true. And that changing the thought on purpose is like faking it, right? Or fooling yourself. This is so wrong, you guys. It's so wrong, so wrong. And it's so not helpful. It's really the opposite, right? Why should a totally unmanaged thought that you have not selected with intention, that other people taught you to think, and that then came out of your brain as if it was yours, which it really wasn't originally, right? We're all born clean slates. Why should that thought be more real than one you think and pick on purpose? Like if you get in your car, you're not like, well, I don't know, we'll just see where it takes me, right? Like, put my foot on the gas, my hands on the wheel, and I don't know, we'll just find out what happens. No, you're like, I need to go to this place. How do I get there? Let me do that on purpose. And you don't think to yourself like, well, it's more authentic if I just let the car go wherever it wants to go, if I don't think at all about where I'm going or how to get there. So that like fetishization of the true thought or the deep thought or the authentic thought is so not helpful. It's so counterproductive. And they're not really your true thoughts in the sense that like they were fed to you by society or your parents or evolution, whatever it is, right? They are not like a true message from the soul about the world. And they're not more real or more true. They're just thoughts that you have thought a lot. They're just beliefs you have. You've just had this thought so many times that you think that it's true, right? You experience it as true because you've never stopped to think about it. So changing your thought on purpose is not faking it, and it's not tricking yourself, right? It's actually taking control of the car. Like the car is going to drive somewhere. Does it make more sense to drive it somewhere on purpose that you want to go, or to let it run all over the place, run into a bunch of cars, kill some pedestrians, and end up like stuck in a building, right? One is not more authentic than the other, but one is for sure more helpful than the other. So when you're doing your thought work, you really want to watch out for that idea that just because you have a thought kind of spontaneously, let's say, as opposed to on purpose, that it is somehow more real or more true or more reflective of your real self or your real thoughts, and that thinking something new on purpose is somehow not authentic or is faking it or fooling yourself or tricking yourself. You're going to think something either way, and the only question is, how is it serving me? Do I want to keep thinking this unconscious thought that I did not select on purpose and that is probably detrimental to me? Or do I want to pick a new one, right? Do I want to drive the car? Do I want to let the car run by itself and kill some people? That's really the choice you're making.